Hey guys, tonight we vanish. You're standing on the shoulder of a narrow two-lane highway just outside Madison, Wisconsin. A thick fog is rolling in from the north, not particularly unusual for this time of year. The sun has just dipped below the horizon, and the sky is an indigo bruise, one of those dusks where the world feels paused, waiting for something to happen. But it already has. You're just catching up to it. To your right, the trees are motionless. To your left, a road sign leans slightly in the gravel. It reads Doveland to 4 miles. And just like that, the air feels different, colder, sharper, a little hollow. You pull out your phone. There's no Doveland on Google Maps, no Wikipedia page, no TripAdvisor review that says, "Nice local diner, but the museum was closed." Nothing. The town of Doveland, Wisconsin does not exist, except that, clearly it did so. Before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, post your location and local time in the comments. It's always fun seeing where everyone's listening from around the world. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You walk down the road a bit. There's a certain stillness to everything, like the sound has been muffled. The breeze stops, no crickets. The only thing you hear is the crunch of your own footsteps. Then, as if dropped by a cosmic practical joker, you spot something stuck in a bush, a paper cup, long faded, printed with blocky red text, Doveland Dairy Days, 1987. You're officially intrigued, and maybe slightly cursed. Back in the early 2000s. Internet forums started buzzing with an odd urban legend. A small Midwestern town named Doveland had simply vanished, not in an apocalypse, not in a fire or flood. It just ceased to be. People remembered growing up there. Others remembered passing through it. A few had t-shirts or keychains. Some even swore they had postcards, greetings from beautiful Doveland, though they were mysteriously hard to find once you'd seen one. The first known online mention popped up on a conspiracy forum in 2003. A user named LikeEffect420 described driving from Monroe to Portage as a teen in the 80s and stopping for gas in Doveland. He remembered a grocery store with a talking lobster tank. No one believed him until someone else chimed in, and another. Soon, a loose community began forming around a shared, hazy memory of a place that couldn't be verified. Historians still argue whether this is just a case of the Mandela effect, false memories multiplied through cultural repetition, or something stranger, something quieter. Let's not forget, in the early 1980s, Wisconsin saw a surge in small towns being absorbed by expanding counties or renamed during rezoning efforts. But Doveland doesn't appear on any official list ever. No incorporation, no deincorporation. It's like it snuck in under the bureaucratic radar and then snuck right back out. A strange detail. There's a short-lived map printed in a 1978 Midwestern tourism guide showing a faint dot labeled Doveland about 12 miles north of Madison. But in later editions, that spot is just empty farmland. The dot is gone. The guide's editor claimed in a 1992 interview that it was likely a printing error. Sure, printing error, like the kind that puts whole zip codes on mail. And then there's the merch, flea markets, garage sales, thrift stores. You start noticing the name Doveland appearing in odd places. A snow globe with a courthouse inside. A neon green fridge magnet that says "Duck you from Doveland." Classy. A baseball cap embroidered with a goose riding a tractor. All joking aside, the strangest part isn't that these things exist. It's that no one selling them ever remembers how they got them. Must have come in a box of donations. They always say, even creepier, the fonts and designs are all stylistically appropriate. The Dairy Days cup. The font matches a 1987 promotional campaign used across several real Wisconsin fairs. The snow globe features a civic building that resembles no known Wisconsin courthouse, yet one guy on Reddit swears it's the place he got married. And he's been divorced twice, so memory should be his specialty by now. You wonder if it's all just a very committed hoax, a fringe in-joke gone viral. But that's where it gets odd again, because it's not viral. Doveland isn't TikTok famous. It's not trending on Reddit or getting Netflix documentaries. It just persists quietly, softly, like an itch you can't find the source of. You remember that one art teacher in high school who always wore that one strange pin, the one no one else had. You could swear it said Doveland Public Arts Fund, but you can't prove it. You can't find it in your yearbook photos. You text a friend and ask them about it, but they just reply with, I kinda remember that. But wasn't it Dollywood? Nope. Dollywood's in Tennessee. Entirely different kind of strange. At some point, the idea of Doveland starts to feel personal. Not because you lived there probably, but because the absence of it feels familiar. Like forgetting a word that you know. Like driving on autopilot and missing a turn that didn't used to be missing. Like walking through your hometown and feeling, for just a second, that something's been ... rearranged. So you dig deeper. You head to a public library in Madison and ask about any small towns called Doveland. The clerk, maybe 20 years old, stares at you and types a few things. Nothing. Then, an older woman overhears and walks over. She says, "My mother used to say she dated a boy from there." You turn. but she's already walking away. Doesn't answer, follow-ups, just leaves. The building. Your phone vibrates. Somehow, despite no cell signal, a news alert appears. Doveland dairy plant settles lawsuit -1985 archive. You tap it. The link goes nowhere. Gone, just like the town. And now you're standing here again, on the shoulder of this old road, holding a cup from a fair that maybe never happened. The fog thickens. You squint down the way it's pointing toward for miles of unknown, toward section 2. The fog doesn't let up. You walk. Each step crunches softly beneath your shoes as you follow the faint curve of the road deeper into what might be what once was Doveland. The air grows damper, clinging to your skin like wet paper. Every few yards another roadside artifact crops up, a rusted soda can labeled Doveland root beer, a torn corner of a brochure offering 10% off at the historic Doveland depot, and, oddly, a parking ticket from 1990 that someone must have stuffed into a fence post like a warning flag. It's still legible. The town name is printed in bold uppercase at the top, Doveland Municipal Court. Of course, there is no such court. Pocket the ticket. A souvenir. A clue. Maybe both. Eventually, the pavement transitions suddenly and without warning into crumbling gravel. The road loses its painted lines. You realize you haven't passed a single car or house in over 20 minutes. You look behind you, expecting to see the familiar glow of town or traffic, but instead, it's just gray. You're in the space between things now. If this were a storybook, this would be the part where the map ends. Then, tucked behind a thicket of branches, you spot it, a battered wooden sign hanging crooked on rusted metal posts. Welcome to Doveland small town. Big Heart Est. 1856. A wave of déjà vu hits you so hard you have to sit. Why does that slogan feel like a memory? You've never been here, but somehow, your brain insists otherwise. And it's not just a cute saying. According to an 1892 Wisconsin gazetteer, that exact motto was used by 4 small towns, one of which, strangely enough, was Doveland, or rather Davers Landing. The name many historians now believe might have been the town's original title. Historians still argue whether Doveland evolved from Davers Landing, or if the two were entirely separate settlements. What's clear is that something sat here for a while. There are faint mentions of it in shipping records. Grain and canned pork shipments routed to Doveland Station up until 1901, then nothing. It's like a typewriter jammed mid-sentence. You keep walking and come upon the oddest thing yet, a gift shop. Well, was a gift shop. The skeleton of the building still stands just barely. 2 weather-worn shelves inside hold a few sad trinkets, cracked ceramic ducks, a sun-faded snow globe, a postcard display rack now almost empty. Almost one card remains. You take it. It's a sunset over a river, captioned with curly red script. Doveland, wish you were still here. Cute. Creepy. You check the back. It's pre-stamped with a 22-cent flag stamp and a postmark. Box reading zip 54,988. You look it up later. That zip code is UNASSIGNED. But the strangest part, the card has been written on. Faint blue cursive says, "Don't come looking for me. You won't like what you find." You don't laugh. Not really. The joke's too precise, like it was written for you. A breeze pushes through what remains of the building and knocks over a tin advertising. Doveland Blueberry Festival 1989. You pick it up, dented, beautiful, the paint's still vibrant. The smiling cartoon berries wear tiny sunglasses. What a weirdly specific thing to fake. If this is an elaborate prank, someone has poured decades into attaching props, planting them across the state, even inventing a fake summer festival lineup that includes such delights as Pie Catapult Showdown and Blueberry Beer. Still, a local newspaper article from 1989 does mention unusually high sales of blueberries in Dane County that year, spiking just one weekend in July. No cause listed. Correlation, coincidence, or the ghost echo of a long-forgotten festival. You sit for a moment on the collapsed wooden porch and notice something carved into the boards beneath your feet. It's faint, worn smooth by time, but still legible if you lean close. IRMIMB are just those 2 words. No name, no date, and suddenly, you get it. The postcards, the mugs, the weird memorabilia people insist they found in a box. None of it is new. It's memory residue. Cultural litter, like the way people all seem to misremember the Monopoly man having a monocle, or that scene everyone swears existed in a movie that never did. Except here, it's not just a product or a line. It's an entire town. The Mandela effect. At municipal scale, psychologists refer to these mass misrememberings as confabulations, not lies, not deceptions, just the mind filling in gaps based on suggestion. But that doesn't explain the stuff. You can't confabulate a physical coffee mug into a thrift store bin, or a zip code onto a postcard. So, where did Doveland go? One theory posits it was the site of a nuclear facility cover-up, like Hanford or Rocky Flats. Plausible, until you remember this is Wisconsin, not Nevada. Another theory suggests it was intentionally unincorporated to make way for infrastructure, maybe even swallowed by Lake Wisconsin during a water diversion project. But the lake's boundaries haven't changed significantly since the 1950s. And then there's the postal evidence. In 1985, a local radio host in Madison aired a listener call-in show about small-town lore. One elderly caller named Joan claimed she remembered sending Christmas cards to a cousin in Doveland. She even recited the ZIP 54988. Other listeners phoned in. A few agreed. One man said his company shipped to Doveland, but when the host tried to verify any of it afterward, the station's tapes were seared with me now missing. That episode never aired again. You rise, dusting your hands off. The shop is starting to tilt in that uncomfortable way buildings do, just before giving up. You take one last look through the broken window and see the reflection of something behind you. A road, maybe path you turn. It's gone, just empty woods. You don't feel afraid. Exactly, more like ... cold. Doveland doesn't want to be remembered, but part of it still lingers. In the sign, the trinkets, the postcards, and now when you feel it settling in behind your eyes. You walk forward. You follow the path, or what looks like one more like an animal trail. Really, just wide enough for one person to shuffle through. The brush slaps at your jeans, and somewhere to your left, something rustles. You freeze. It stops naturally. You breathe. Then push on. After about 10 minutes of scratching through undergrowth, and wondering if maybe this is all just an elaborate prank set up by your therapist to get you back into nature, you stumble out into a clearing, and there it is. The first real structure you've seen in what feels like an hour, a school or what used to be one. The sign is barely legible, but the shape is unmistakable. Faded letters once spelled out Doveland Elementary, now just ghostly indentations across rotting wood. The windows are broken, of course, and a vine snakes around the frame like it's trying to choke the last breath from the place. You step inside. It's surprisingly intact. Desks still line the room in crooked rows. A globe leans sideways on the teacher's desk, the continents cracked and peeling. There's chalk on the board, a schedule written in spidery cursive. Friday movie, Milk Day, show and tell. You don't know what show and tell was supposed to feature that day, but something about the phrasing makes your skin crawl. Then you see the paper, pinned to a corkboard at the back of the room. Yellowed and curling at the edges is a class photo. No year is written on it. Just a label. Miss Kloeb's 2nd grade Doveland Elementary. You study the children. They don't look unusual, just kids. Smiling, gap-toothed, badly combed, sweated-up kids. But the longer you look, the weirder it feels, because no two of them seem to be making eye contact with the same thing. They're all slightly off. Like someone took a normal picture and nudged each child's gaze a few degrees in different directions. It's subtle, but the effect is uncanny. One girl in particular, 3rd row, pigtails, polka dot dress, has a face you're sure you've seen before. You dig through your bag, pull out the postcard from earlier, flip it over. Same handwriting. It's the same loop in the L's, the strange way the writer crosses their T's. You squint. Could this girl be the one who wrote it? But the card is from 1989, and this photo looks decades older, 1960s. Maybe. Still, time gets weird out here. Historians still argue whether the Doveland school system was ever officially registered with the state of Wisconsin. No known education records, no yearbooks archived in any county office. But during the 1970s, Wisconsin's Department of Public Instruction underwent major restructuring. Hundreds of paper files lost to water damage, mold, or plain old negligence, a perfect gap for a small-town school to slip through. And yet, in 1997, a woman cleaning out her attic in Milwaukee found an old teacher's planner. It was filled with lesson plans, student notes, and field trip approvals, all marked Doveland Elementary. The planner even listed a home phone number for Miss Kloeb. Naturally, that number was disconnected, and the address no longer existed. The building itself was allegedly demolished in the early 90s, but no permits were filed, and the woman who found the planner, she tried to donate it to a local museum. It never arrived. The museum denied ever receiving such an item, of course. It did. You explore deeper into the school. The lunchroom is full of overturned trays. Faded signs still hang from the ceiling. Line starts here, and please eat all your peas. In the gymnasium, a single deflated basketball rests against a wall. A banner droops sadly over the stage. Doveland Ducks, state regional champs, -1984. The logo features a cartoon duck with boxing gloves. You kind of love him. You exit through the back door of the gym and find yourself on a cracked asphalt playground. Rusty monkey bars, a seesaw with one end permanently down, like a ghost kid never got off. You sit on a bench and watch the wind roll through the tall grass where the kickball field used to be. Your mind drifts. Dozens of people online, some anonymous, others posting under old forum handles, claim to have attended Doveland schools. They remember lunch menus, beef stroganoff Wednesdays, math drills, Mad Minute Madness, even the duck mascot dance at pep rallies. But no one can find a classmate. No one has a transcript, not one report card, and yet they all remember the same song, the school anthem. A guy on an old Usenet archive recites it from memory. We fly not south, we fight not loud, but stand our ground in any crowd. The mighty ducks of Doveland soar, our quiet hearts forevermore. Catchy, if oddly defiant. A fringe theory claims the school might have been a Cold War holdout, a testing site for psychological experiments on rural populations. Project Midnight Dove. It's been called in certain corners of the internet. Completely unsubstantiated, of course. But then, so is Doveland. Still, the idea of a forgotten test population tugs at something dark. It wouldn't be the first time small communities were unknowingly exposed to behavioral experiments in America. In 1951, for instance, the French town of Pont-Saint-Esprit experienced mass hallucinations believed by some to be caused by a CIA experiment with LSD. True, maybe. Disturbing. Definitely, you start to get the impression that Doveland might have been more than just a sleepy little nowhere. Maybe it was never meant to last or be remembered. But memory doesn't care about intention. It leaves traces, photos, notebooks, songs, mismatched gazes and school portraits, half-whispered anthems, posted by strangers who've never met, yet sing in unison. Your fingers brush across the bench beneath you. Someone scratched into the wood, ducks for EVER. Next to it, a little heart. Crude, but hopeful. You smile. For a moment the wind dies. Everything is perfectly still. You swear you hear the faint echo of a school bell. But when you check your watch, it's not noon. It's 12:02 a.m. Time's playing tricks again. You stand, dust yourself off, and follow the trail behind the playground. It winds through tall grass and into another stretch of woods. Darker now. You glance back once at the school. The banner is gone. You walk. The trees are thicker now, pine instead of oak, their needles whispering above you like gossiping old men. It's colder too. A wet kind of cold. The kind that seeps past your clothes and settles into your bones like unpaid rent. You wrap your arms around yourself and press forward, following the narrow path as it twists toward some unknown heart of the vanished town. You're just starting to wonder if you've wandered too far when you spot it. A rusted chain-link fence, half swallowed by the woods. Beyond it sits a complex of buildings, squat and concrete. The paint is peeling. The windows are blacked out. A single sign remains bolted to the fence near a locked gate. Doveland Civic Services Staff O&L. No logo, no hours, no cheerful slogan. Just that bland government font and a faint trace of red spray paint across the bottom, illegible now. You hop the fence, not gracefully, mind you. There's a lot of creaking and a minor shin injury involved, but you make it. You always do. The first building is what looks like a post office. You nudge the door open. He gives eerily to his dust billows in your face, along with something else. A smell. Not rot exactly. Something stale, preserved, like a room sealed off from time. The inside is eerie. Everything's in place. Plastic bins, stacked with envelopes. A blue apron hanging neatly on a hook. A "We Are Customers" sign taped to a cracked bulletin board. You approach the counter. There's an old register still plugged in. And then, sitting like a crown jewel beneath the glass counter, a bundle of letters. Postmarked, stamped, addressed to Doveland and more. Specifically from Doveland, historians still argue whether any town named Doveland was ever recognized by the USPS. No records of route maps, no zip codes on file. Yet here are at least 24 envelopes, neat cursive, typed labels, one addressed to a church in nearby Lodi, another to a newspaper in Milwaukee, one addressed simply to Mom. They're unopened. You flip one over. The return address says, the Johanssons 31 Redleaf Drive, Doveland, WI 54988. The handwriting is elegant, confident. Someone who used a fountain pen and probably had a favorite. And right there again is the phantom zip code, 54988. That code crops up again and again in Doveland artifact stories, printed on mugs, etched into tokens, written in the corners of torn-up maps. Always the same, never assigned, like it was waiting for a town that never quite earned it. You pocket one envelope. Don't judge, you're already trespassing. In a back room you find something weirder. It's a mail bin, locked under a clear plastic lid. Inside are dozens, maybe hundreds of returned letters, all addressed to Doveland, postmarked from other cities. From real people, some dated as recently as 2001. One envelope has a sticky note attached. RTS, no such town. The note is initialed CH. What's more disturbing is the tone of the letters. You open one. Dear Curtis, it's been too long. Your mother, and I keep checking the mailbox, hoping to hear from you. Please write back. We saw something strange on the news last night and thought of you, about that chemical leak near the river. Are you okay? There's no signature. Another letter, this one from a boy named Eli, says, Uncle Tom, Mom says you live in a town that's not on the map. Can I visit? My teacher says it doesn't exist, but she's not very smart. The building starts to hum. You freeze. It's low, mechanical, like a generator that shouldn't be running. You follow the noise toward the back wall where you find a metal hatch in the floor. No label, just a handle, dark with fingerprints. You hesitate, then lift. The hatch opens onto a stairwell, narrow, cold, no lights except for a faint red glow. At the very bottom you take one step down, then another. Each creak of the metal stairs echoes like a gunshot in the silence. You keep your weight centered, hoping not to alert anyone or anything that might be listening. The hum grows louder, pulsing like a slow heartbeat. At the bottom, a corridor stretches left and right. To the left, dark dot. To the right, that red light. You go right. Of course you do. The hallway ends in a locked door, but the window in the top, the panel is cracked enough for you to peek through. What you see inside should not exist. Racks of VHS tapes, dozens, maybe more, each labeled with a name and a date. Names like Nancy Elmore and Kevin S. dates spanning 3 decades. A small CRT monitor glows in the corner, showing grainy footage, a family dinner, a 4th of July picnic, a child blowing out candles. You can't hear anything, but you feel it. These are memories stored here, trapped here. A few internet rabbit holes have whispered about the Doveland tapes, supposedly discovered in 2003 by a cable repair tech working in an abandoned Wisconsin switching station. The footage was random home videos, mostly. Nothing extraordinary, except for the fact that no one in the videos could be identified. No known missing persons. No matches in facial recognition databases, and no locations recognizable except one. In a handful of the tapes, a welcome sign appears. Welcome to Doveland, small town, big heart. Same slogan, same archway, same crooked lettering, and just like that, you're back in it. This isn't just a forgotten town, it's a repository, vault, someplace memories go to rot, or to be buried, or maybe, just maybe, to be protected. You turn back, you need air, you need out, up the stairs, through the post office, back into the woods. You don't stop until the building is out of sight and the hum has faded back into silence. The envelope still trembles in your hand. Whatever Doveland was, it didn't want to be found. But it left breadcrumbs, letters, tapes, remnants, and you're starting to feel like one of them. You keep walking, envelope still clutched in your hand like a relic or a curse. The woods start to thin again, slowly, reluctantly, like they're not ready to let you go. A break in the trees reveals what looks like a long-abandoned main street. Swallowed by moss and memory, you step onto cracked pavement. The air feels different here, lighter somehow, but watchful, like someone's holding their breath just out of sight. The buildings that line the street lean with age, their storefronts faded and sun-bleached, windows fogged with grime and time, and then you see it. A diner. The sign above the door hangs, crooked on one rusted chain. Dot's diner since 1956. The other chain is missing, so the whole thing swings lazily in the wind, like it's nodding hello or warning you away. You push open the glass door. A little bell rings overhead, surprisingly cheerful. Inside, the diner is frozen in time. Red vinyl booths, black and white, checkerboard floor, a jukebox in the corner that's somehow still humming faint static. A menu board hangs above the counter. Blueberry pancakes, $2.15 meatloaf special. $3.50 duck burger, $2.99. Add egg -25. Everything is too intact. The salt shakers are full. The napkin holders are stocked. One table has a coffee cup still sitting in the center, a faint coffee ring etched permanently into the formica. You don't touch anything because something about this place feels sacred, not holy, just preserved. Like the universe vacuum sealed this moment and left it on a shelf, waiting for someone to remember. You slide into a booth near the window. There's a notebook on the table. You open it. It's filled with journal entries, daily ones, each signed. Some are ordinary. Supply deliveries, weather notes, pancake ratios, but the tone shifts slowly. You flip toward the back. January 12th, the radio stopped again. Nothing but white noise. I think the signal tower's gone. The customers haven't come in days, but I keep brewing the coffee. Someone always shows up. February 4th, heard the river again last night. Louder this time. Doesn't sound right. Too fast, like it's angry. Don't trust it. February 9th, saw the boy again. Outside, same spot as last week. Same striped sweater. I waved, he didn't. You turn the page, and something scribbled in thick pen, underlined 3 times. Don't drink the email. KACHO. Glance toward the counter. A row of milkshake glasses stands proudly under a plastic cover. The whipped cream on one is still perfect. Nope. You single quotes re not drinking anything. You flip another page. It's the last entry. February 14th. I think this is it. Not sure what's real anymore, but I hope someone finds this. If you're reading, go to the water tower. That's where it begins. That's where it ends. Doveland's last breath. The pen trails off into a jagged line. You look up. The jukebox clicks once and stops humming. Silence. Historians still argue whether Doveland had a functioning municipal structure. No mayoral records, no police logs, no emergency call archives. But a few folks on Reddit once claimed their grandparents remembered a sheriff's car parked outside Dot's Diner every morning in the 70s. Green and white paint job. A decal of the Doveland Duck on the door. But the sheriff's name, no one agrees. Jensen Johnson Jericho, always a J. You stand and move behind the counter. There's a rotary phone mounted on the wall. You pick it up on impulse, a dial tone. You don't even know who you'd call, but you stay on the line anyway. just to listen. Then it changes, not a voice, not exactly just whispering, soft, unintelligible, like a dozen people talking at once from very far away. You can't make out any words, but it's not random, it's rhythmic, almost like chanting. You hang up fast. You grab notebook and back out of the diner. The bell rings again as the door shuts behind you, but you swear the tone is deeper this time, like it's grown tired. Back outside, you spot the water tower. It rises over the town like a monument, squat and silver and flecked with rust. Faded lettering runs across the tank. Doveland, Big Heart. The rest is too worn to read. The ladder is old, bolted tight to the steel leg, but you climb anyway, step by step, feeling each rung groan beneath your weight. At the top, the view is surreal. The town spreads around you in all directions, but it's wrong. The streets loop too perfectly. The trees grow in repeating patterns. The shadows fall where they shouldn't. You blink, and for a second, the whole town seems like a miniature model. A diorama, something a child might build for a science fair. And below, in the middle of town square, you see it, a statue. You didn't notice it before. From up here, it's clear. A tall bronze figure of a man holding a book in one hand and a lantern in the other. The plaque at the base says, "To those who remember," but the name has been scratched out. Deep gouges in the metal. Someone wanted it gone. Fringe theorists believe Doveland's disappearance had to do with a temporal anomaly, some kind of localized time fracture triggered by experimental technology. One theory claims the town's founder was a physicist dismissed from Los Alamos in the 1950s, name redacted from records, fired for proposing something called chronofold stabilization. Absurd, probably. But the government has erased people before. Like Project Paperclip, like MKULTRA. You climb back down the tower slowly, the air colder now. Every creak of the ladder feels like it's echoing through the bones of this place. At the bottom, you touch the steel support beam. Someone has carved initials into it. DT equals the is what gets you. You head back toward the center of town, your footsteps softer now, like even your body understands that something's waking up here or falling asleep for good. Doveland isn't empty. It's paused. You don't remember making the choice to walk back into the heart of town, but here you are, feet moving like they've got memories of their own. The water tower fades behind you. The sky is flat now, gray like a TV screen just before it goes. Static, no wind, no birds, even the trees are silent. You round a corner and stumble into a park. A broken sign hangs lopsided on two posts. Pine Wisp, Memorial Park. Someone painted smiling ducks along the bottom, but the paint has peeled until the beaks look like they're frowning. Swings hang limp. The merry-go-round creaks even though no one's on it. You glance at the sandbox, half expecting to see a child staring back at you from under the edge, but it's empty. Almost you approach the sandbox slowly, not because you're afraid, but because the sand is moving. It shifts sparely, like breath beneath a blanket. You kneel and brush a little away. There's something underneath, a plaque. You clear more sand and read, "In memory of the 23 gone, not forgotten 1954, just that, no names, no explanation, no context, just the 23. You sit back on your heels. Historians still argue whether a tragedy occurred in Wisconsin in 1954 involving a group of missing people. Some claim there was a school bus crash on a rural road that year, but the news articles, if they ever existed, have vanished. Some say a group of protesters disappeared during a nuclear plant demonstration. One theory suggests a church congregation simply walked into the woods and never came back, but no. Records confirm it. Only whispers. Only this plaque. You stand up and brush the sand from your hands. A shape catches your eye near the playground. Fends a small red tricycle, perfectly upright. A tag dangles from the handlebar. Property of Lila B. That it hasn't rusted, it hasn't moved. It might as well be waiting. You back away and find yourself on what was once Main Street. Storefronts curve gently on either side. Hardware stores, a pharmacy, a barbershop called The Clean Cut. The doors are all shut, but the windows are filled with objects, not displays, not merchandise, just objects. A snow globe with no water, a single shoe, a toothbrush, a baby monitor, a birdcage with no door. Each window has one item, each perfectly centered, each facing forward. You keep walking. A record store appears at the end of the street. Sound escape. The window display features a record with no label, spinning slowly on a vintage turntable. No power, no outlet, just spinning. Inside, rows of vinyl line the walls. The covers are unfamiliar, no artists you recognize. One album is simply titled They Were Here. Another, Local Ghosts. You find a listening station. Surprisingly, it still works. Headphones rest in their cradle, like they've been waiting just for you. You put them on. Static. Then a voice, faint, raspy female. He's watching the sky again. It says it's folding. Says the stars don't move right anymore. More static. Then another voicemail, this time, trembling. It's not night. They think it's night, but it's just the wrong kind of day. Then laughter. Childlike, but slow, reversed. You tear off the headphones. One theory circulating in fringe communities is that Doveland was a site of unauthorized psychological experiments during the Cold War, a closed environment trial, sensory deprivation. community manipulation. The goal to observe how memory forms or unravels when external context is removed. Some versions of this theory go darker, suggesting the town was made up of people who didn't exist anywhere else, or people who had been erased. You exit the shop and spot another building ahead in elementary school. You hesitate, then go in. The interior is coated in chalk dust and silence. The lights don't work, but the windows provide enough pale gray to navigate. The hallways are lined with lockers, each slightly open. Some have names scratched in Janie, Ty, Mr. Fenwick. You find a classroom, chairs are stacked against the wall. A sentence is scrawled on the chalkboard, half-arrest. If you see the man with the duck mask, do not what? You turn in. The corner of the room is a desk. On it lies a project, clearly a kid's work, a shoebox diorama. Inside there's a miniature of the town, water tower, diner, school, park. Little clay figures populate the streets, but the clay has warped, melted. Some of the figures have no faces. One figure stands alone in the center of the diorama. It's wearing a duck mask. You look again at the chalkboard, a smudge where the sentence stopped. Just enough left to guess. Turn around. You back slowly out of the classroom. The hallway behind you now feels longer. The lockers seem taller. You don't look back at the entrance. Someone has pinned a paper to the wall. Lost and found. 1 glove, 3 teeth, red thread, a day that never happened there. Last one is circled in red dot. You step outside and breathe in what passes for air here. It smells like burnt sugar and static. Like something that used to be clean but has sat out too long. You realize something then, something that should have occurred earlier. There are no animals here, no birds, no squirrels, not even insects, not a single sound of life. Just the empty echo of a town that isn't supposed to be here. Or maybe you're the one who isn't supposed to be here. You keep walking, not because you know where to go, but because you're afraid of what might happen if you stop. Doveland isn't just hiding, it's remembering itself. And now, so are you. You walk, but the streets no longer stay still. You swear you passed the same storefront twice, though you took a left, not a loop. The barbershop window with the lone chair. The duck decal cracked in the corner. Then again 10 minutes later, same chair, same crack, same eerie dust pattern on the mirror. Like something large and feathered once leaned in close. Time is soft here, not broken, just flexible like a rubber band that's been stretched too far and doesn't quite snap back. Your feet take you down a back alley. You don't remember choosing. Brick walls pressed close on either side. Garbage cans. An old bicycle with deflated tires. A hand-painted sign propped against a fence post. Duck Days Parade. Sion Cialid. The paint is still wet. There are no footsteps behind you. But you feel watched, like the buildings themselves have turned to look. You reach the end of the alley and come out behind what must have once been Doveland Town Hall. The flagpole still stands, but there's no flag, just a tangle of rope whipping in a wind that doesn't exist. And at the building's base is a memorial wall, polished black granite. Names etched into the surface, rows and rows of them. Hundreds, maybe thousands. Too many for a town this size. One column catches your eye. Thomas Bell, Dana Bell, Nathaniel Bell, Thomas Bell again. Just that. You raise a hand and touch the name. It's cold. Deeper than the others. There's a note stuck into the crack between 2 granite slabs. Yellowed paper, torn on the edge. If you see your name here, leave. You're already part of it. One scholarly theory suggests Doveland was a linguistic virus. Not a place, but a self-replicating ideal, like a song you can't stop humming, or a word that changes every time you say it. In this version, the town exists only for those who believe it does. Once it's in your mind, it grows, adapts, creates evidence, invents witnesses, and eventually, it pulls you in. You step away from the wall. A creak draws your attention. To your left, the doors of Town Hall are slightly open. You hesitate, but curiosity wins. You push them wide. Inside, dust motes dance in the faint light. A wide circular lobby opens before you. The tile floor is cracked in the shape of the town seal, a stylized duck mid-flight, wings outstretched. Around it, the words, Doveland, Wisconsin, big heart, quiet, mind. It echoes in here, but not with your own movements. There's a rhythm, distant ticking, like a grandfather clock hidden in the walls. You walk toward the front desk. A guest book rests on the counter. The most recent entry is dated today, and it's in your handwriting. You stare. Your name, your looping signature, the time marked exactly right, and a message written beneath it. I think I've been here before. I think I never left. You shut the book and look around for security. Cameras, none. But there's a bulletin board behind the desk, cluttered with lost pet notices, except they're all for the same animal. Missing ducky species, unknown description. Tall, yellow, friendly but confusing, last seen everywhere. Reward, 1 extra memory. Some of the flyers have tiny hand-drawn maps on the back. Scribbled loops, X's that change locations. One shows the diner, another the school. Another is just a spiral. You pluck one down. It smells faintly like vanilla. There's movement from the hallway behind the counter. You call out something casual, something dumb like hello, even though you already know no one answers in places like this. But this time, someone does. Footsteps, deliberate soft rubber-soled shoes. You freeze. A figure appears in the doorway, just out of focus. Just not quite right. Tall, lean, wearing what looks like a suit made of feathers. The head is smooth, white, and overall are not a duck mask. A duck's head still. Watching you, you blink and it's gone. Nothing but the empty hallway. You don't chase it. You wouldn't make it far anyway. Instead, you move down another corridor, narrow, lined with framed photos. Each photo is labeled Citizen of the Month, 1954, and then it stops. But the frames continue, empty glass boxes, dustless, waiting. Your reflection in one catches you off guard, but it's not quite you. Slight differences, different shirt, older eyes, a smile that isn't yours. You step back, there's a plaque beneath the final empty frame. Soon, you leave the hallway quickly. Back in the main lobby, a door you hadn't noticed before stands open. A stairwell leads downward, no lights, just a string of words painted on the wall. In quiet minds, memory echoes louder. Fringe researchers once proposed that memory isn't stored in the brain at all, but rather projected like radio waves. In towns like Doveland, maybe they're just places where the signal gets stuck, where the past builds up like static and starts playing on loop. You descend the stairs. The air grows heavy, not cold, but damp, like the space between two dreams. Like an attic filled with fog, the steps spiral deeper than they should. You count 36, then 50, then 80. The walls shimmer faintly with condensation. Or are those fingerprints at the bottom? A room. No lights, only a glow, soft and blue, coming from a shallow pool in the center. The water is perfectly still. Though you don't see any source for it, you kneel beside it and see your reflection. Except, you're not alone. Standing behind you in the water's image is a child, small, wearing a striped sweater. You spin around, nothing, but the ripples have already started. You've disturbed it. The water pulses like a heartbeat. A sound begins to build, not words, not even music, just a layered hum, almost like all the whispers from earlier condensed into one note. You don't feel fear, you feel clarity. For a moment, it clicks. The whole structure of this town, the loop, the shifting faces, the absurd rules. Doveland isn't lost, a filter, a place built not to hide people, but to refine them, to pull away everything extra: names, memories. Timonil, only the core of you remains, but the clarity fades. Just as quickly, the pool, darkens, the hum vanishes, and you're left, kneeling in silence again. You stand. The stairs behind you are gone. Only one path remains. You take it. The path stretches in front of you like a hallway in a dream, too long, too still, and lined with wallpaper that's trying a little too hard to be friendly. Soft yellow, patterned with ducks again. Always ducks. Some face left, some right. One row moves backward, looping on itself. You walk, your footsteps don't echo now. It's like the floor has absorbed all sound. Or maybe the sound's just chosen not to cooperate. The only noise is your breathing, and even that seems to come from a step behind you. You pass closed doors, each numbered, not like hotel rooms, more like archives. Room 3, room 12, room 9, room 3 again. You stop and look closer. Yes, room 3 appears twice. And then again, 2 doors down. Different styles, same number. One with a brass handle, one with a knob that seems to twitch slightly when you look away. You don't open any of them, not yet. At the end of the hall is a door, painted bright teal, chipped along the edges. Above it, a plaque: Doveland Community Memory Center, EST. You push it open. The room inside smells like dust and dry paper. It's massive warehouse, big but quiet, like a forgotten library. Rows and rows of filing cabinets stretch into the gloom, each drawer labeled with handwritten tags. First tooth, Grandpa's smile, the day it snowed in June, that one song. You open a drawer at random. Inside, a stack of Polaroids. They show different people, none familiar. Kids on porches, women in flower print dresses, men holding fishing rods and looking proud. But each photo is missing something. A face blurred out, a name scratched off, an entire background gone white. A sticky note on one photo reads, "Don't file this one again, it's already filed." Historians still argue whether memory libraries were ever a real psychological experiment or just a metaphor. Shared among fringe therapists in the 1970s, the idea was that people didn't repress trauma, they organized it. Carefully, meticulously, and sometimes misplaced it. Places like this, they believed, were built inside the mind, not the world. You pull open another drawer. This one contains cassette tapes, no labels, just rows of black plastic. You grab one and pop it into the player, conveniently located on a cart nearby, the kind your high school used for film day. The tape starts with static, then a voice: "Yours, ... And I remember standing at the edge of the cornfield trying to find the moon, but it wasn't there, just a hole where it should have been. You hit stop, the cart rolls back into place by itself, not fast, not threatening, just helpful. You move to the back of the room where the shelves thin out. The labels here are more chaotic, some typed, some scribbled, some drawn in crayon. One folder reads, "The day I stopped asking questions." Another, "Do not touch this." So of course you do. It's filled with sticky notes, each one in a different handwriting. He said he was from the year 1973, but it was 1968. The ducks are not symbols, they are keys. Find the girl with the coin. Time slips when you blink too hard. I came here on purpose. A final note is pinned to the folder's inside cover. If you're reading this, you've almost made it through. Almost. A new sound. You turn. A figure stands at the opposite end of the hall. You don't remember hearing the door open, but it did. The figure wears a tattered hoodie, no face visible. Just darkness where the face should be, like a shadow took the place of a person. That it lifts one arm and points not at you, at a drawer marked Doveland and 3 drawers, actually stacked vertically. You realize the name has been split. Doveland and dot. You open the top drawer. Inside a folded newspaper. The headline reads, Wisconsin town mysteriously erased from state records. The date is smudged. The text is fragmented. But you catch one sentence. Residents reported dreams of disappearing buildings and strange birds before the final blackout. The second drawer holds a map, a real official road map of Wisconsin. There's a small tear in the center, a blank white hole, perfectly round, where Doveland would be, not scribbled out, not cut, just missing. You touch it and feel a sharp coldness against your fingertip, like frost on glass. And the third drawer, empty except for a mirror. You see yourself, but you're different, younger, maybe, or just a version of you who never opened that diner door, who turned around and left when the duck started showing up, who said, "This isn't my problem," and meant it behind you in the mirror. That same duck-masked figure, but this time, it lifts the mask. You don't see what's underneath, only the sensation of being seen. You blink and the figure's gone. Again the lights flicker. The file room starts to groan, like the weight of memory is pressing too hard against the walls. You sprint back down the hallway, the yellow duck's watching you pass. You don't look back. You reach the teal door again, fling it open, and emerge in it into the building's front, but into a wheat field. Golden stalks up to your chest. No sign of the town, just the sound of wind through the grain. And far in the distance, a single, ringing bell. You don't know what it means, but your feet carry you toward it. The field is impossibly wide. You walk toward the bell, even though it shouldn't be audible in a place like this. No buildings, no schoolhouses, no churches in sight, just stalks swaying like synchronized dancers. You part the wheat as you move, and the sound grows louder, not clangy or metallic, but deep, resonant, almost organic, like the bell is alive, and somehow, it's calling only to you. The sun hangs low, frozen on the horizon, casting long shadows that don't quite match your movements. One of them is taller, broader, and it's not yours. You stop and look around. Nothing behind you but the narrow path you've made, closing back up like a zipper the moment you pass. No birds, no bugs, no duck decoys for once. Then you see it. The school bell tower half sunken in the field like it fell from the sky. Its foundation is missing, but the upper portion remains perfectly intact, rusting in place. Vines creep up its legs. There's no school beneath it, no classroom, just the bell. You reach it, heart pounding, and look up. The rope swings slowly, back and forth, but the air is still. Your fingers close around the thick cord. It's rough, scratchy, real. You pull once. The sound it makes isn't a ring, more like a memory of a ring, something your ears recognize before your mind can catch up. You've heard it before, in a dream, a film, a different lifetime. The moment you release the rope, the field begins to shift. Like film grain under a microscope, the wheat begins to pixelate, patches flicker, changing color amber to gray to static white. You back away, eyes wide, as the world you were standing in unravels like fabric caught on a nail. You're not in the field anymore. You're in a grocery store. Fluorescent lights buzz above you, aisles of cereal boxes, a rack of tabloids, and behind the counter a familiar figure, the girl from earlier, the one with the coin. She's chewing gum, still in that same duck-patterned hoodie, except now, she's older, maybe 17, maybe 50. Her age doesn't sit still long enough for you to tell. "Hey," she says, not looking up from her crossword. "You made it." You blink, dazed. "Where am I?" She shrugs. "Check out lane 9, or maybe the end of everything, depends on your receipt." She reaches under the counter and pulls out a small object wrapped in butcher paper, slides it toward you for you, she says. You unwrap it slowly. It's the same coin she flipped before, except this time it's been sanded down smooth. No markings, no duck, just a blank metal disc. "What does it mean?" you ask. She finally meets your eyes. "Nothing now. It meant something once. But that version of you didn't listen." You stare at the coin. It's warm, almost pulsing. You slip it into your pocket. Fringe theories have long explored the concept of liminal products, items that exist as placeholders in memory rather than physical space. Think of things you can't remember throwing away, that key to a door you forgot, that receipt from a town you never visited. Objects like these, according to some paranormal psychologists, act as mental beacons, anchors to false spaces, or perhaps exit tickets. You glance around the grocery store. It's empty, but not abandoned. Music plays faintly over the intercom, an off-key rendition of "Row, row, row your boat." You recognize the lyrics, only they've changed. "Row, row, row your thought gently down the stream, merrily, 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 life is not a dream. Take a step back," and the store peels away. This time, no sound, no bell, just the quiet flicker of fluorescent light, turning into stars. You're outside again. The field is gone. Ahead of you, Doveland's water tower, bent at the top, leaning like it gave up. It casts a long shadow across a stretch of cracked asphalt and old parking lot, maybe with faded yellow lines and a single tricycle tipped over on its side. You approach the water tower. On the tank, someone has painted new text over the original logo. No one leaves the same. Below it, a list of initials, maybe names, maybe designations. You see yours. 3 simple letters that could be anyone but aren't you. Reach up and touch them. The metal feels soft. A sound rises around you, not the bell this time, but whispering, dozens of voices layered, murmuring in unison. Did you see the ducks? She flipped the coin. You stayed too long. Now you're part of the town. You turn, slowly, and notice that the landscape has changed again, but not in front of you, behind. All those empty buildings, the diner, the schoolhouse, the post office with its flickering light, they've reassembled, not randomly, precisely. And the bell tower stands up right now, centered perfectly in the middle of town, like the town is rebuilding itself around you. You step forward. The gravel crunches beneath your shoes, but there's no resistance. You're not trapped. You're being offered something. The girl is standing in the center of Main Street now, holding the coin again. You reach into your pocket and reel. Gone. The smooth metal disc vanished. You look at her hand. She flips the coin again, and it spins in the air. She catches it, looks at it, then nods. The buildings freeze mid-assembly. The wind dies. The whispers stop. You're ready, she says. Ready. For what? But you already know. Your feet move forward before your brain catches up. The town stands still now, suspended mid-restoration, like a paused 3D printer. Wires dangle from light poles. Half-rebuilt walls fade into translucent frames. There's no sound, not even wind, just that coin in the girl's hand, gleaming like a single truth in a room full of theories. She walks with you. You don't ask where you're going. She doesn't explain. You pass a mailbox, stamped with U.S. mail, return to sender. Except, someone has scratched out sender and written "Sense" in thick black marker. A main street sign reads, "Welcome to Doveland. Est. Pop depends." You smile. Somewhere deep inside you realize, none of this is random. Not the ducks, not the flickering lights, not the coin. It's all part of a script, maybe not yours, but someone's. A town stuck halfway between being forgotten and being remembered. And somehow, you've become its latest editor. You stop at a house. It's not remarkable. One story, white siding, a porch swing hanging off one hook, but it pulls at you. Familiar, like the background of a dream you've had hundreds of times, but never quite placed. You lived here, the girl says, matter of fact. You glance at her. I did. She shrugs. For a version of you. Yeah. Before you wandered off. Before the ducks came. Why ducks? She thinks about it for a moment. They travel between ponds, and people always forget where they saw the last one. Mainstream historians might scoff at duck symbolism as a metaphor for memory migration, but in folk traditions across Scandinavia and parts of the Midwest, ducks often symbolized messengers or warning signs. Not of death, but of dimensional instability. Weird, sure, but then again, so is the phrase vanishing town. You step inside. Everything is covered in plastic sheeting, furniture, windows, even the walls seem half-drawn, like sketches waiting to be inked. On a table near the door sits a dusty journal. Its cover is blank. You open it. Inside, pages and pages of your handwriting. I came back today. The bell sounded different, softer. The diner is gone, replaced by that coin girl again. She never ages. They say it's not a town, it's a pocket. A memory pocket, maybe. A place people make to hold grief until they're ready. You flip further. Some entries are crossed out. One simply reads, "Forget everything." The last page is fresh. No ink yet, just a single pen beside it. You sit down, hands hovering above the journal. The girl leans against the doorframe. This is the part where you decide. Decide what? She looks at the plastic-wrapped window, where sunlight filters in like an old movie reel. Whether to write yourself out, or write yourself in. This is the paradox of vanishing towns. Some believe they were never real. Others think they were erased from history through bizarre bureaucratic failures, lost census records, overwritten maps, forgotten memories. But there's a third theory. They were overwritten by their own inhabitants. Places that became so collectively uncertain that even their own residents opted to vanish one forgetful moment at a time. The pen is warm when you pick it up. You begin writing. Not a diary, not a confession. Something simpler. A story. Hey guys, tonight we're heading to a town that doesn't technically exist. You blink. That opening. You've said it before, haven't you? You try to remember where. And then you hear your voice again, from outside the house. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video. You rise slowly and walk to the window. Through the plastic you see a crowd, dozens of people, all looking toward the porch, toward you. Some have duck masks. Some carry old camcorders. Some wear hoodies that shimmer and glitch like TV static. One holds a boombox on their shoulder. The cassette clicks. Plays. Now dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The girl is beside you again, though you didn't hear her move. It's looping. she says. You started it. Now it wants to end properly. You step onto the porch. The people don't move. One raises their hand. Not in greeting. In farewell. Then the entire crowd begins to vanish, row by row, like lights turning off in a stadium. No drama, no smoke, just absence. The girl hands you the coin again, but now it's your face on one side, the other side blank. You flipped the script, she says, smiling faintly. Now you're the town's story. As the world fades again, one thought remains clear. You're not a visitor anymore. You're a resident. You're in a chair now. No, not a chair, a pew. A dim chapel surrounds you, musty wood, heavy stone, candles burning down to nubs, stained glass windows filter moonlight through scenes you don't recognize. Except one, the far left panel. You standing at the edge of a field, a bell tower behind you, ducks swirling overhead in the shape of an infinity symbol. You blink still. There you glance down at your hands. They're holding the coin again. You never hear the doors open, but someone is sitting next to you now. A man in a dusty black suit with a name tag that reads Docent in bold serif font. His face is oddly featureless, not blank, just smoothed out, like someone photoshopped away the sharp bits. Big crowd today, he says, nodding toward the altar. You look. The pews are full, but not with people. With reflections, versions of you differently dressed, differently aged. One wears a wedding tux, one holds a baby, one reads from a clipboard. Some smile, some scowl. None of them blinked off the docent size. This happens to all the new arrivals. You visit too long, and eventually, the town makes a copy, then another, then another. You try to speak, but your voice is caught in the thick air. Relax, he says, not unkindly. It's just a memory tax. The cost of staying where you don't belong. You turn the coin in your fingers, one side, your face, other side still blank, you know. The docent says, leaning back. Historians still argue whether Doveland was ever a physical place. Some think it was a failed town that got overwritten by development. Others believe it's a psychic constructed dreamscape formed by the collective subconscious of people who never got closure. He pauses, then adds, I prefer the version where it's a closed loop, cleaner that way. On the altar, a projection screen drops down suddenly, as if for movie night. The lights dim further. A grainy black and white film begins to play. You recognize it instantly. It's you, filmed from behind, walking through a wheat field. The bell tower looms ahead. The crowd of yous watches silently. That's how it always starts. The docent whispers. Curiosity, a sound, a memory you can't place, and then bam, you're looped. The screen flickers. The field turns into the diner. Then the diner becomes static. Then static becomes a blank page. And the camera cuts to you, seated here, watching yourself somewhere. Ducks quack faintly. You close your eyes and try to feel the outside world, something beyond this strange hall of mirrors. A breeze, maybe, a cold soda can. Your phone vibrating with a notification, but there's nothing, just the weight of the coin. The hush of wax melting. You open your eyes again. The pews are empty. The docent is gone, but something is still moving in the chapel. From the back, a figure walks slowly toward you, barefoot, wearing a graduation gown covered in pins and patches from towns you've never heard of. She looks familiar. It's the girl, but this time she's older. Your age, maybe, or your future. Her hands are clasped behind her back. You don't belong here anymore, she says gently. You finish the loop. You try to argue, but she shakes her head. The town can't hold you much longer. You either anchor it further or you let it go. You feel the coin burning in your palm. It's heavier now, pulsing. Flip it, she says. Your throat tightens. What happens if I do? She offers the faintest smile. It's your story now. You stand, lift the coin, give it one last flip. It turns in the air once, twice. Again, time slows. The flame on the candle stills. The air gets thick like honey, and when it lands flat on the altar, it lands on the blank side. She looks down at it, then up at you. Good choice. The chapel dissolves, but gently this time. Like snow melting into spring, you're outside, on a quiet street. It's dusk, birdsong, a breeze, no ducks, no bells, just an empty sidewalk and a street lamp blinking lazily behind. You, the sound of laughter, children playing, a bicycle bell. You're holding a map now. It says Doveland WI at the top, but below that, in neat black type, access revoked, town archived by user you. You fold the map and slip it into your pocket. Look up. And walk, not back toward the chapel, or the diner, or the coin girl. Just forward, like you always were. The sidewalk underfoot feels real, unremarkably real. Cracks filled with dandelions. An old gum blob fossilized by time. One of those little rust-colored leaf skeletons flattened by years of foot traffic. You pause, press your heel into it. It doesn't vanish, doesn't pixelate. No eerie sound cue triggers, just the soft crunch of a weed under rubber. So far, so good. You check your hands again. Still hands, no feathers, no flickering outlines. The coin gone. You pat your pockets. Gone from there to no journal, no maps, just you, breathing alive. In what appears to be a regular suburban street, shaded by sleepy oak trees and the smell of distant laundry detergent. You pass a mailbox labeled Kazmiric. That name tickles a memory. Wasn't it scrawled on a peeling wall earlier? Or maybe in the journal? Too late now. The mailbox disappears behind you like a thought you forgot. Mid-sentence. You turn the corner, and there it is again. The diner, but this time it's boarded up. Not erased or glitched, just ... closed. A real world kind of abandoned, with graffiti tags, old flyers, a for lease sign curling at the edges. You walk up. Something is taped to the glass. A photograph. Old almost antique. It shows a group of people standing in front of the same diner back when it was alive. Laughter frozen on their faces. You recognize the waitress from your first visit, the man in the boatie from the chapel, and in the far left corner, only half visible, is you. You press your fingers to the glass. Inside, something stirs. A flicker. You step back, but it doesn't come for you. It doesn't reach or glitch or summon bells. It just ... stays behind the boarded windows, pacing slowly. A residual you. Maybe you're the ghost now. Historians still argue whether towns like this are simply swallowed by economics, interstate redirection, industry collapse, cold demographics. Others say it's emotional, that certain towns are cursed by communal loss so deep they simply fold inward and disappear from even the collective map. But then there's the curious third camp, the ones who whisper about dimensional drift. Whole towns sliding sideways into thin layers between time zones and timelines, occasionally visible, rarely permanent. You decide to keep walking. No need to summon the flicker again. Another corner. A gas station. Not Doveland branded this time. Just your basic convenience store. Faded red signage. One lonely pump. The door creaks when you push it open. And for the first time in what feels like days, there's a mundane ding of a welcome bell inside. Fluorescent lighting. Humming vending fridges. Overpriced jerky and a teenage cashier scrolling on their phone. You squint at them. They glance up, raise an eyebrow, lost. You don't answer. You just wander the aisles, half expecting the snacks to rearrange into riddles or historical puzzles, but no, just salted peanuts, off-brand cola, a wire rack of postcards. Wait. You pull one out that says, "Greetings from Doveland, where memory meets the mist." You flip it over. It's already addressed to you. The message reads, "Nice loop, we'll keep a room open." The docent, "Okay, creepy." You put it back. At the counter, the cashier rings up your soda and says, "You look like you've seen a ghost town." You smile. Worse, they don't laugh, just bag your drink. But then they ask casually, "Hey, do you know where Route 44 goes?" You blink. Why? They shrug. People keep coming in asking about it. But the weird thing is, we don't have a Route 44. Not on GPS, not on paper. But everyone remembers it, even me. You pause. Your soda can hisses softly. Then you ask, "Did it ever lead to a place called Doveland?" The cashier's face goes slack for a split second. Then they nod, slowly. "Yeah, that's it. That's the one." A shiver runs down your spine. The town's not just vanishing, it's leaving breadcrumbs. Subtle ones, hazy enough to be dismissed, sharp enough to slice through if you're paying attention. You leave the store. Route 44, huh? There's no road sign, no directions. But somehow, your feet know which way to go. You walk past the pump, past a rusted-out bike rack, and onto a cracked footpath leading behind the building. No cars, no birds, just a long, narrow stretch of concrete, vanishing into fog. And just visible in the haze ahead. A sign, bent, GRAFFITIED, but still legible. "Welcome back, population." Adjusting. You stand there for a moment, gripping your bagged soda like an anchor to this plane. Then from somewhere behind you, that familiar sound, a bell, soft, beckoning. You don't turn around. That bell, high, distant, perfectly tuned to your spine, is a trap. You know it. It's not calling you back, it's testing you. So you do the unthinkable. You ignore it. Just keep walking toward the sign, toward that bizarre little footpath bleeding off into nowhere. Your sneakers crunching through gravel and little bits of glass that glint like memory shards in the fog. You're not in Doveland anymore, but Doveland is still in you, and it's testing its range. You pass a patch of wild grass so tall it brushes your elbow. Someone spray-painted a single word across the footpath. "Remember." But the thing is, you can't. Not completely. The girl's name, the diner's layout, the sound of the ducks, all of it's turning smudgy around the edges. The farther you get, the blurrier it becomes. But then you catch something sharp, something sticky. A memory that clings like gum under a desk. It's the mirror, not the one in the diner, the one in the motel bathroom. Fogged, cracked, wrong angle. You didn't look long enough the first time. You remember now something behind your reflection. A figure in the corner, upside down eyes, tilting its head. The coin started glowing after that. You walk faster because the trail isn't a road anymore. It's becoming a hallway, you know, that kind of hallway that doesn't belong outdoors, white-walled, sterile, with flickering fluorescent lights and stains no mop could explain. There's a faint hum, and you can't tell if it's electricity or whispering. The soda's still in your hand, absurdly normal. You take a sip. Flat. Of course. On the left wall now, doors appear every few feet, heavy metal ones. hospital style, each marked with labels: Mallow, Oregon; Centralia, Pennsylvania; Bodie, California; Doveland, Wisconsin. You freeze. That one's open, just a crack. You lean closer. Inside is darkness and the sound of an old radio softly playing a polka tune. The smell of cherry pie. A voice, faint, careful. Some doors don't swing both ways. You take one step back, just one, and the door slams. Hard. You flinch, nearly drop the soda. The hallway shifts again, visibly buckling like a bad green screen effect. And from the far end, something is approaching. You can't see it, you can only feel it. Every hair on your arm lifts like static before a storm. You break into a run, which is tricky because the hallway keeps changing length. You sprint past a janitor's cot, then pass it again. There's a classroom on your left now, desks nailed to the ceiling. A child's voice sings the Doveland town motto backward. You're breathing hard, feet pounding, soda sloshing. You reach a corner, skid, and you're back in the motel. No warning, no transition, just standing there again, in front of the fogged mirror. This time, you do look, and the figure is still there, but it's not upside down. It's not some glitchy CRYPTID. It's you. Or a version of you, wearing the trench coat, holding the journal, left hand burned where the coin once lived, and it speaks. No mouth movement, but you hear it in your head. You made it further than most. You swallow hard. What is this place? An echo, a fold, a test pattern. Helpful. You glance down. You're holding the journal again. You open it. This time, the pages are filled. Sketches of everything. The ducks, the diner, the chapel, the footprints, even the cashier from the gas station. And on the final page, a single phrase: the only way out is through. You look up. The mirror version of you nods once, slowly, then steps backward and vanishes into fog. You reach out and touch the glass. It ripples like water behind you. The motel TV turns on. It's static again, but the sound, it's Morse code. 3 letters repeating, SOS. You step back from the mirror. The motel door bursts open, revealing a staircase leading down. Not out, down. Like the kind you'd find in a lighthouse or a nuclear bunker or a bad dream. You're going to descend. Of course you are. You take one last look at the mirror, then down the stairs. You go each step echoing deeper and deeper into the belly of whatever this is. You count 11 steps, then 44. Then the numbers stop making sense. The stairs curve, spiral, and the lights flicker. Each flicker reveals different versions of the walls, sometimes tiled like a hospital, sometimes raw earth like a cave, sometimes red velvet like an opera house. You keep going, your heart beats steady now, because you know the truth. Doveland isn't just a town, it's a trap, and you're almost through it. The stairs finally end, not with a dramatic fall or a sudden opening, but with a soft click, like the final turn in a long-forgotten combination lock. You step forward, half expecting to find fire, or sky, or an audience clapping slowly, but it's just a room, perfectly square, perfectly quiet, lit by soft blue lamps with no visible cords. The floor is carpeted in old-fashioned paisley, worn down in a spiral pattern, as though many feet have walked in circles here. The walls are covered in framed photographs, all slightly tilted, as if hung by someone in a rush. You walk past them. Each photo holds a scene you've seen before. The ducks, the bell, the diner booth with your coffee cup half full, the chapel glowing from within. And just one you don't recognize. It shows a family, 2 adults, 3 children, standing in front of a welcome sign. Welcome to Doveland. Pop 1412. Their faces are fuzzy, not blurred like a camera mishap, but soft, like memories just before waking. The only sharp detail is the woman's necklace, a gold medallion shaped like a key. You reach up instinctively. You're wearing it. You were always wearing it, right? You step away from the photo. In the center of the room, there's a table, circular, wooden. On it, a rotary phone, a steaming mug of tea, and a single cassette tape marked, Play Me. You look around. No other exits. No windows. No bells. This is it. You press play. The cassette clicks. WHIRS. Then a voice fills the room. Not yours. Not the docent's. Something older, drier, like pages being read by a library that's alive. If you're hearing this, you've passed the loop. Congratulations. Most do not. They forget. They fade. They choose comfort over clarity. You sip the tea. It's lukewarm and tastes faintly of bergamot. You've begun the process of but understand the world you return to may no longer be calibrated to you. You've seen beneath the static. You've remembered a town that was never supposed to be remembered. On the wall behind you, the photos shift. Not change shift, like they're physically moving toward the center of the room, gravitating to the table. You turn back to the tape. Your presence has triggered residual loops. Doveland will resurface in local anomalies. Static on your morning news. Flickering in sidewalk reflections. A coin left on your nightstand. You hear something fall. You look down, the coin just sitting there now, gleaming like a smirk. Same impossible date, February 29th, 1991. You don't touch it. Some returnees find peace in forgetting. Others seek to map the mist. A few try to warn others. The tape clicks again. Static now. A sound, like laughter being rewound, then silence. You exhale. Long and low. The tea's gone cold. You take the coin anyway. The key around your neck glows faintly, as if acknowledging the loop's close. You scan the room again, and then, without ceremony, a door appears. Not opens, appears, right where one should have always been. No handle, just a push plate. You press it and sunlight pours through. You step into it immediately. It smells like spring, wet asphalt, cut grass, someone grilling nearby. A breeze full of dandelion fuzz and car exhaust reel. This feels real. You blink, you're standing on a street corner in a place you recognize, sort of. It's your town, but wrong. Not wrong like spooky horror wrong. Wrong like someone shifted the furniture half an inch. Street names are slightly off. That cafe never had a second floor. Wasn't the post office red? Across the street, a kid stares at you. He's holding a journal. Your journal, then. Slowly, deliberately, he drops it down a storm drain and walks away. You don't chase him, you just breathe because it's done. Now the loop is over. Maybe historians still argue whether stories like these stem from mass hysteria, shared delusion, or unreconciled trauma buried in the cultural subconscious. But the oddest thing they say is how geographically specific they become. Doveland isn't just a metaphor. People find it. On paper. In dreams. In the glitches between real and not quite. You sit on a bench. The coin in your pocket feels warm. Someone walks by, nods politely. They're wearing a Doveland t-shirt. You blink. Gone. You look around. A dog barks in the distance. The wind picks up, and in the shade beneath a maple tree behind you, you hear it. The bell, soft, faint, but still ringing. You don't move. Not at first, because you know what that bell means. You've heard it in dreams you haven't had yet. And suddenly it's not so clear anymore whether you ever left Doveland at all. You reach into your pocket. The coin's still there, heavier than it should be. You turn it in your fingers and for the first time notice that the ridged edges have worn smooth, like it's been handled thousands of times, or by thousands of versions of you. Across the street, a woman in a red raincoat is staring at you. Her face is blank, not neutral blank, like it hasn't been rendered yet. You blink, she's gone. You close your hand around the coin and you begin to walk, not away from the sound, this time, but toward it through the park. Across the intersection where the stoplight blinks a pattern you're pretty sure is Morse code again. You hum it under your breath. It says, "No exit, at least it's honest." The bell gets louder. You pass a newspaper vending box. The headline, barely visible through smeared glass, "Midwest town erased by mapping error." Again, next to it, someone scribbled in Sharpie, "Not an error if it keeps happening." The joke writes itself. You reach the maple tree. No bell, but there's a whole dot, just a tiny thing, at the base of the trunk. Too neat to be natural, too dark to be empty. From inside it comes the steady, pulsing ring of that impossible chime, like a church service happening sideways in time. You crouch, peer in. Nothing. Then dash movement. A shimmer, a glint, another eye. Just one. Blinking back, and for a second you're sure it's your eye. You fall backward hard, grass damp against your palms. A breeze rustles overhead and something falls from the tree. A journal page. Old, smudged, water warped, but unmistakably yours. You smooth it flat on it, scrawled in your handwriting. Loop 14 complete. Physical recall achieved. Memory unstable. Do not resist re-entry. Do not attempt to warn others. Do not trust the girl in the diner. A chill runs through you. You feel watched. You are watched. A shadow passes. You turned up. The man from the motel. The one with the trench coat and the burned. But he's not looking at you. He's looking through you, like you're already gone. He says one word. Ready. You want to say no. You think you say yes. The next moment you're back at the staircase. The one that wasn't there. Leading down again. It's darker this time. Wetter, and you're already descending even though your legs aren't moving. Loop 15. You know what this is. Doveland isn't a place you visit. It's a place that remembers you. A fringe theory from early 2000s internet forums, the ones with pixelated GIFs and all black backgrounds, once claimed that Doveland is a sentient pattern. Not a town, but a frequency. A shape of thought that invites memory, then rewrites it. Historians, skeptics, and sad YouTubers all debated whether that's poetic nonsense or the closest we'll get to truth. But here's the rub. Patterns survive because they're repeated, and you just keep repeating. One more turn in the spiral. You see a door ahead. It's labeled, "Exit to main menu." Cheeky, you laugh. Just a little. The laughter echoes like it doesn't belong to you. You walk to the door. You open it. Inside is nothing but fog. The same fog you walked into at the beginning. You stepped forward and everything, the ducks, the bell, the coin, the girl, the gina, the chapel, the dustant, the static. All of it winks out like it never existed, except for the page in your hand, and the coin, and the next bell, which you'll hear sooner than you think. Asterisk, you made it. For now. That's the thing about stories like these. They don't always end. Sometimes they just pause. They fade into fog, or the background hum of your bedroom, or the hush of rain tapping at your window. So let's slow things down. Ease your breathing. Let your hands relax. You've traveled far tonight, through memory and myth, déjà vu and digital echoes, through places that may never have existed and yet still left fingerprints on your thoughts. Let those images drift now like leaves on a still lake. No need to chase them. Just notice how they dissolve. The fog softens. The bell goes silent. The coin cools in your pocket. And the staircase, well, it's gone. Just floor now. Solid, safe. Your back really back in your bed. The fan humming gently beside you. The blanket warm across your legs. Your eyes a little heavier than before. Maybe a lot. If you listen carefully, you might still hear that old cassette worry to a stop, or the distant scrape of a diner stool being pulled out. But you don't have to follow those sounds anymore. Not tonight. You're safe. You're grounded. And you're free to let go. So close your eyes, friend. Let your thoughts slow to a murmur. And if you dream of strange towns and glinting coins, don't worry. They're just stories. Mostly.